Now the next stage of the Dinky Dino is taking cut 10mm plastic and putting a strip down the inside, 10mm down, just as a lip. It will strengthen the wobble and give us somewhere for the frames for the roof to sit once I start cutting them out. So I'm going to cut a strip each side, a bit in between, and some strengtheners in the corner. There we go. I've made the 10mm inner frame all the way round. Like I said, it takes the wobble out the side. These are now just about rigid. There's little triangles in the corners and a little bit of straight in the middle, just to give it a little bit more strength than what it needs. So now I've just got to look at how I'm going to fit it, and then make 3 formers up. No, 4, because there have to be 1 each end and then 2 more in the middle. So we've got to make 4 of these up. So I'll make these up next, and then we'll go on to the next stage. Now I've run into a big issue. As much as I try to measure, cut and keep equal, I have not got one of these the same. So if we put this in, this is done oversized from the rear one, and if you look, it's off here, here and here, and then if you turn it, it's off, that's nearly matched, and that's off there. So I keep getting it wrong, so I'm doing it a different way, and the way I'm going to do it is, it took me a while to work out how to do it line drawing, but what I've basically done is designed a roof plate, and I'm going to 3D print it, and I'll weld onto that. I know the angles are equal, so wherever I fit it, I'll make sure it clears both ends, and then once the roof is on, I'll just put some strips of plastic up and fill in so it fits perfectly, or it'll look like it's perfect, but it'll be hidden carefully. But I will salt it. But it shows what you can run into. Is like, because I'm using a ruler and you're cutting from different sides and you're snapping, the lines are not snapping accurately enough. So it shows you've just got to be a wafer bit off with angles and your knife, and you totally screw up. This way I'll print 4 of these and then frame it to the roof with those. But it shows you've got to be careful. You can screw up big time. So then the way I will do it, the ends will be printed, they will be welded together with strips, and then the last 2 strips will be cut to size to fit. I'll just work out a certain distance onto, and then the roof panels will be placed on. And like I said, I think I can put little strips around to tidy it, just to slightly tidy it up so it looks correct, and I think I can go like that. In a sense, I probably shot myself in the foot. Well, not with the front one, but I could have made the roof that it fitted over exact, and then that way you wouldn't have to worry about doing it, because I could have done it with one and then designed a shorter one the same way and just welded it onto the front, or even actually onto that, put a line on and padded, so it could have padded it out thicker, so it just plated onto. But you learn by your mistakes. Like I said, I've never built a sort of double angular roof. I've done curved ones, they're a bit easier because you're using a compass, and because you can do that, you're just following a line and you just sort of sand them into shape quite easily. So I'll get these 4 printed and try and get a frame made. Now, working on the roof, it's been a major pain, things not going right, but I finally sorted out my problems with getting the angles right on the roof. I designed them on CAD. So I've made 4 of these. I've already built one section, and these are going to be built equal. These are the front and rear sections, and this is what I've made. And then what's going to happen is once it's on the body, I'll make the length of the inner ones and make the parts to go in between. So we're going forwards. At least we've got something done. In between, I've had nothing but trouble with the printer. It's played up really badly. In the end, I even had to replace my Bowden tube on my direct drive. So let's get another one together and we'll get the full frame done. The frame is completed. It's had a little bit of strengthening in places, but it's ready to go on now. There we go, it fits nice. Now we've got to calculate the plastic, where it fits to, because I made some, where have I put them? Some plastic parts, because there's some outer end pieces. So I designed these, used the frame, chopped it and recurved it, and put an arc in it and a bit of detail, and they will be on the outer part of the roof. Once the top's on. Now this is where it gets complex. We've got to measure the roof, and because there's an outer frame here as well at the rear, I'm going to put one. I've got to make sure the roof is slightly loose each end over, if that makes sense. It's got to be longer than. So I'm going to make up two, but what I'm going to do is to angle the plastic at that length accurately, scrape it on file and sand, it's hard. So I'm going to butt joint it, the panels, and then what I will do is I will then use a mixture where it's melted down ABS plastic in plastic weld and build it up and then scrape and sand it into shape. So now let's cut some big strips for the roof. There's the roof, all done, and it fits quite nice. I'm just going to add the end pieces in so it tidies up the ends, because with that piece in I can then start working out the windows on here properly, which is one of the things I was waiting for before I started on trying to design something. So it fits pretty good. It fits really well one side, and of course it fits not quite as good the other. But it's not too bad at all. There is definitely a discrepancy at the front, but as long as this can fit behind, it will fit in line and hide the fact it is slightly out of line on the fronts for some reason. But that's got to be welded in place, and that'll just add a bit more strength it needs. And then we can start adding, like I said, working with the mixture. Well, that definitely looks crooked. Isn't that weird? And it is. Quite surprisingly, that frame is off somehow, and I don't know how. It's even at the back. So how has that happened? Because I was using even amounts of plastic. That's the strange thing. But it's definitely off at the front. Yeah, it looks okay when it's on. So there is a slight discrepancy as you build with plastic, and this is one of the problems. But not too bad at all. Hope you can see that. That's the 3D part welded in. Like I said, I've done one each end to make it neat and tidy. I've now got to let that cure, and then, like I said, we start adding to the top. It fits pretty good. It goes on, and those little ridges at the front give me something at least to lift the top off as and when I need to. No, but that's pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. And then we'll show how to do the plasti weld mixture, which is melting lovely at the moment. See, it's dissolving, and that will make a solid of the top. Now I've just made some fresh mixture. See if I can get it in the camera. And that is literally liquid plastic. it will fill the groove in the roof, and all you have to do is, well, what I normally do is wet it first. Well, I can find me, so the groove's not completely dry. Before we start, just run a bead all the way along quickly. As you can see, I've used masking tape, and then all you do is you dip your brush into the mixture and paint it on. Fill the gap. The idea of the masking tape is to cut mess, that's all it's there for. It's less to scrape off afterwards. If you drip it, get it off quick, because it will adhere quite fast to the body. And then hopefully we can get enough on that it'll only need one coat. The great thing is, all you do is, if it needs more, you just remask after you've scraped off the excess and go for it again. But this is the, like I said, what we use mixture for. Sealing seams if you need to. So that's what they used them in boat building. If you had a gap, they sealed it straight away in the build with this. And there we are. Let that dry a bit. I'll give it a second coat and peel it off and let it cure. You have to give it a good 24 hours curing before you can scrape it, because you need it to turn back to plastic. There you go. The roof is had its first lot of plasti weld, and like I said, you've got to wait for it to go off. And once it's fully cured, I use like an edge of a ruler, and I carefully scrape it away to shape, to get the angle, and then eventually you'll probably put a very slight curve in it, so it's not a sharp angle. But I think it's starting to look good. But the thing is like, it's curing time. But this completes this part of the Dinky Dino. We've now got the roof done, and it does fit well at last. There we go. There's a slight gap front and rear, bigger gap at the rear, but that doesn't matter. But it does look like the Class 66. Not perfect, but it does look. The next thing will be sort of sorting out some windows, designing them to fit in there, so they'll be pretty close to that line. But well, there won't be windows, they'll be like put on grills.